this evening for the Wildcats. At middle hitter, sophomore, number 5, Mackenzie Woodson. At outside hitter, freshman, number 7, Tahani Goodness. At middle hitter, sophomore, number 8, Brooklyn Finnerty. At outside hitter, freshman, number 12, Michaela Paget. At center, junior, number 18, Jada Dominic. At middle hitter, sophomore, number 20, Brooke Murdoch. And at libero for the Wildcats, sophomore, number 6, Gracie Fulton. The Wildcats are coached by Kara Matthews. And now, starting for the night, outfield blocker, senior number 2, Chile. At outside hitter, junior number 3, Verena Clark. At outside hitter, junior number 4, Sydney Bassett. At center, freshman number 7, Sarah Hugo. At middle blocker, freshman number 10, Madison Green. At outside hitter, freshman number 25, Brooklyn West. And at libero for the night, junior number 6, Jessica. The Knights are coached by Jimmy Baker and assisted by Sean Baker. Thank you, ladies.
Good afternoon to all of our friends tuning into this edition of Knights Broadcasting. We hope you'll sit back and enjoy this one as it's another NCAA Women's Division III volleyball matchup coming to you live from Knights Sports Arena. Today's non-conference matchup will feature the visiting Randolph College Wildcats against your Southern Virginia University Knights. My name is Quinn Meyer, and alongside me today is Justin Madsen, a member of the men's volleyball team at Southern Virginia.
How's it going, everybody? It's good to be back. I was here last time, and I really enjoyed my time. I'm excited to be back here in the barn and watch some good volleyball.
So the Knights coming off of a tough 5-set loss to Greensboro College just last night. So
right.
a long night of traveling. They'll try to get things back in the right direction against a non-conference opponent today.
Yeah, in the game before that, they actually had another 5-setter that they ended up winning. So that's 2 5-setters in a row. I'm sure they're hungry for a win today. We'll see how they play.
That was Sarah Hoopin on the serve. She's going to receive this one, and Madison Green sets it up for Sydney Bassett over top of the wall, and the Wildcats back on the attack. Attempt by Jessica Inslee to dig that one out, but she can't, out of bounds, and the first point of the match goes to the Wildcats.
Yeah, what I remember seeing from last match is a lot of digs from Sarah Hoofman, the setter. That's going to have to force someone else to set the ball, right? Which usually takes them out of system, and that just happened there. They weren't able to put it away.
That was Tahani Villanese on the serve for the Wildcats. She's their leading hitter in kills. There's a block there by Madison Green and Sydney Bassett, and Brooklyn Madden gets rejected, as it was a good dig, but it turns out to be a point for the Wildcats. They lead it 2-0, and they're really going.
Yeah, so that seemed a little low there. It's hard to get the ball past the block when when the set's that low. But
Wildcats to serve again. Sydney Bassett received that one. Was a little bit behind Hoofman, and that one will sail out of bounds on the attack from Sydney Bassett. And Justin, can you speak a little bit on how, obviously volleyball, lots of matches are played during the season. Obviously the Knights aren't a back-to-back here, coming home late from Greensboro. What does that do to your legs, and is there certainly fatigue that sits in at some point?
yeah, absolutely, especially with the front row players, the outsides, the opposites, the middles that are constantly jumping. That is a lot of volume on your knees, on your ankles, on your legs. And so it is hard, but these athletes learn how to take care of themselves. They learn how to recuperate and rest and be ready for the next day, because that's part of what they do.
That one's going to pop off the net out of bounds, and the Knights 2 quick points to get within 1 here early on in set number 1. So Sydney Bassett back to serve. She leads the team with 293 kills on the year. As the Knights are going to get a point. Maybe a net fault on that one, I believe.
It was an overtouch from the setter there. They're saying the ball was on the Knights side when the setter touched it, but it's an interesting call. Free ball here. Good little save from the libero from Randolph.
Going to Clyde over the top. Good dig there by Randolph. They're going to send it back over. The Knights back on the attack. So Sarah Hoopin setting up Brooklyn Madden. A nice block there. I think that was number 20, Brooke Murdoch, who leads the team with 90 blocks on the season so far. So she will certainly be a big factor on the front line for the Wildcats. Jessica Inslee receives that one. They're going to set up Brenna Clyde, as that's going to get over the net, underneath the arms of the blockers. Another point for Southern Virginia.
Yeah, that's the danger of not pressing on the block, is the ball is able to find its way between the blocker and the net. And it makes for an easy tool, which Brenna's able to do there.
Tough receive there from Randolph, but they're going to be able to get it back over. Sarah Hoopman sets up Jelaine Peterson, puts it down, and a point to the Knights. Jelaine, one of those important senior leaders on a pretty young squad for the Knights this year.
Yeah, absolutely. She has a lot of experience. She's a great athlete, and if they can get her going, that'll be really healthy for the Knights.
Inslee on the serve again. That one's rejected by Jelaine Peterson, and that'll be a point to Southern Virginia. They take the lead by 2, 6-4. And Justin, talking with Coach Debbie Baker a little bit before the game, while this is a non-conference matchup, she says they'll approach it just like every game, as they're obviously trying to get into a rhythm here late in the season, and try to be as ready as possible for the conference tournament, as Brenna Clyde's going to be rejected, but a point for the Knights at 7-4.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care who you're playing. Every game is an opportunity to work on that connection, that chemistry with your teammates, and to get comfortable and ready for that postseason. And so that's exactly what this is.
Good job by Sydney Bassett to save that one, and Brooklyn Madlin puts it over. Wildcats back on the attack. Nicely received by Madlin again.
Tight set.
And Madlin, one of those key freshman pieces that they brought in. She spent a lot of time on the court this year. Third on the team in kills, as Randolph will take a timeout as the Knights take an 8-4 lead early on in the first set.
Yeah, Southern Virginia is a very young team this year. They have a lot of freshmen, I believe, around 10, 13, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but
big number.
Yeah. So it's a cool opportunity to see some young players step up and see what they're capable of, and then also see what those few veterans can do to help them play at their best. Madison Green, Brooklyn Madlin are a few that are freshmen that have been able to perform for the Knights, and it's fun to see.
And Madison Green is one of those freshmen that, especially of late, Coach Baker's really talked a lot about. You know, she has a big arm, able to get a lot of power on the ball, but has really done a good job on the defensive side as well. 37 blocks, averaging over half a block per set. So she's really come into her own here late in the season as the Knights make this final drive to get as high of a seed as possible in USA South tournament play and try to host at least one home match in the conference tournament.
Absolutely. Okay, we're back. Score is 8-4. Jessica Ensley back to serve for the Knights.
That'll be received by Woodson. They softly put it over. Good heads up by Jillian Peterson. Now Brooklyn Madlin gets a piece to it after the block.
Good self-cover.
Lots of back and forth. You hear Coach Debbie Baker wanting to go high. They do get it over that time. That one sails way high, out of bounds, and a point to the Knights coming out of that timeout.
Yeah, so we're not seeing a lot of power from the hits on the Knights side, but the good thing is they aren't making many mistakes because of that. And so what that does, it allows Randolph to make the mistakes and leads to points for the Knights. We see a hitting percentage. If you look at the hitting percentages here, Randolph has a negative .143 just in these first 13 points, and then the Knights have a .125. And so that's going to be the main difference in why there's a 5-point lead for the Knights.
Off of that service 8, Jessica Inslee there again, but that one goes just out of bounds, and a point back to the Wildcats. Jessica, another one of those veteran players who on a young team, her leadership will be very important. She's filled the libero position really nicely after losing a couple of key players last year. She leads the team in digs. This is number 21, Sequoia Sorensen, back to serve. The freshman setter from Millville, Utah. High up in the air for Brooklyn Madlin, rejected but out of bounds. And a point back to the Knights, it's 10-4.
Yeah, good job by Brooklyn to find the outside of that block to get that tool. Once again, pressing is essential on that block. If they pressed a little bit more, maybe I think that could have been a block, but Brooklyn is able to take advantage.
This is sophomore Nikki Stevenson from Elliott Lake, Ontario, coming in for the Knights.
Good save from 21, and Randolph,
Ruthven sets up Jillian Peterson. Another good play by Sorensen. And back and forth they go. Goes off the ceiling of the barn. And that'll be a point for the Wildcats.
First time barn kind of comes into effect here. For those that may not know, if the ball touches the ceiling or any part of the barn and then goes to the other side, that's automatic point for the other team. So that's what happened there.
And that one's going to sail out of bounds. Another service error for Randolph. As Jessica Inslee smartly let that one go right past her, and now it's Brooklyn Madlin back to serve. 12-6 the lead for Southern Virginia. Villainous on the attack, gets it through the wall of Jelaine Peterson and Sarah Hoofman. That's a point for the Wildcats.
We got Ruby Blameyer subbing in for Brooklyn Madlin here. Looks like they want her in for some serve receive and defense. in the back row.
Ruby, another member of the big freshman class brought in.
That's right.
She'll receive that one nicely, and Sarah Hoopman sets up Sydney Bassett softly over, but a good play by Sorensen to be ready. Back over on the near side for Sydney Bassett. Lots of power rejected, but it goes out of bounds. And Sydney Bassett getting that point as Taryn Anderson comes in, as well as Madison Green back in for the Knights. And Justin, you've seen it firsthand, speaking on the barn and, you know, certain advantages that it might have.
Right.
Does it really make a huge difference for visiting teams, or what would you say about that?
Absolutely. At least from the men's side, what we experience is most teams, they try to petition or make ways that they don't have to play in the barn, whether it be go play at a local high school or other college, because it has that great of an effect. It's very hard to to play when you're not used to it in here. But we practice here, obviously, so we've gotten used to it. We know how to use it to our advantage, and that's why we love home court advantage.
And it really gets you to ready to play anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, if you can play well in the barn, you can play well anywhere pretty much. This is Sydney Bassett on the attack. Tough receive there by number 3, Madison Daniels. And a bit of a miscommunication. And that will go in favor of the Knights that time. It's 14-8 now the score.
We have a sub here. Brenna Clyde coming in for Nikki Stevenson for the Knights. Sarah Hoofman, the setter, back to serve.
That one's received by Woodson. She's going to send it back over herself now. Jessica Enns is going to set up Brenna Clyde. Lots of power on that one. It goes off through the barn. A little difficult to handle, but a good dig nonetheless. Now Hoofman smartly putting it over.
Ooh. Double called on number 5 for Randolph. I mean, we love our refs. I don't want to say anything against them, but that was an interesting call.
And because of that point, Randolph's going to take a timeout as they trail by 7 here in the first set of play. And as we take this short break, the Knights Athletic Department wants to thank the following sponsors for their continued support of Knights Athletics. Those sponsors being Cornerstone Bank, Mill Creek Orthodontics, River Crossing Apartments, Straws Drinks and Eats, Grace Automotive, where SVU students and staff can receive 10% off their vehicle maintenance needs. Also Papa John's Pizza, locally owned and operated, Vinyl Cuts, The Beeve, and Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express. And if you'd like to partner with Knights Athletics to promote your business to the Knight Nation, please contact Brett Schroeder at 801-633-1894. And speaking of straws, this Friday, so tomorrow is their bingo night, and then next Friday is their movie night. So show up to Straws the next couple of Fridays for some fun activities and some fun treats and drinks. And then on Halloween night at Straws is their Spooktacular, where lots of the shops in the area will be handing out candy. So lots of fun events at Straws in the next few days.
Nice.
Back from the timeout, we've got Sarah Hoopman back to serve again as the Knights lead by 7. Tough receive there. But the Wildcats do get it over.
Good opportunity for the Knights. Good out of system set.
Good receive by Ruby Blairmyers, but it goes a little bit too far. And a smash over the net by number 20, Brooke Murdoch.
Yeah, very good play by her to have that discipline and self-control, not net or do anything but put it away. So good on her part.
Brooke Murdoch came into today's game with 188 kills on the season, including 90 blocks.
Wow.
As Madison Green gets set up off the net, but a good dig there by Randolph. Sarah Hoopman on the set again for Sydney Bassett. A bit too soft, though, and easily putting it back over to the court is Brooke Murdoch.
Once again. Yeah, it looks like Murdoch's a big asset for Randolph at the net. She's a big presence.
As that one goes off the ceiling of the barn again, but Sydney Bassett going to put it back over. Nice dig there by number 6, Gracie Fulton. Bassett again putting it over softly. And Fulton back with the set to number 5, Mackenzie Woodson. Lots of play right at the net.
Lots of good little touches from Randolph, keeping it alive.
Off the ceiling of the barn again. That time, Brenna Clyde cannot get there in time. A point to Randolph. And Justin, just as you mentioned, lots of good play at the net by Randolph. So obviously they have a pretty strong front line. How does that kind of change things and how you approach your attacks if you're the Knights?
Yeah, so what you're going to want to do as a setter is really make sure you're setting all your different hitters. You want to keep them guessing. You don't want them to know where you're setting. So if they can get a well-formed block, if they know where you're going, it's going to be hard to get past that block.
Sydney Bassett could not get a piece of that one to send it back over. So another point for Randolph. They've trimmed that 7-point lead down to 3 here in the first set.
Beautiful pass by Ruby.
And that one's going to deflect off the blockers of Randolph. And another point for Madison Green. It's 16-12 now.
Yeah, I want to give some props to Randolph real quick. They were down quite a bit, and we've seen some grit from them and some fire. They're staying alive and fighting back, which is it's always fun to see.
Sydney Bassett now back to serve. And that's going to sail just out of bounds, smartly letting that go. On the back line was one of the Wildcats, and it's now back down to a 3-point game. Brooke Murdoch back to serve for Randolph.
I know I mentioned this a lot last time, but I'll just mention it again. Volleyball and, well, really any sport where you're across the net from someone, tennis, whatever it is, the key is to reduce unforced errors, right? If you can be the team that makes less unforced errors, there's a really good chance that you're going to win. And so that's kind of what I want to see out of the Knights today, and I'm sure that's what they want to see out of themselves, is kind of reducing those unforced errors and just performing and staying consistent.
And that's one of the things that Coach Baker mentioned, having a young team. There's certainly going to be growing pains in that process,
right.
And she's seen improvement in her team, less unforced errors as the season's gone along, but certainly there can always be room for improvement there.
Absolutely.
Quick serve by Murdoch. As the Wildcats back in the tap, Jessica Inslee has this one, as Sarah Hoopen will just softly put that back over. And it looked like number 8, Broken Finnerty, didn't really get all of that, and it stays on her side of the net. A point for the Knights.
Right. Just looked like she was maybe a little bit late. I don't know if that's how quick they like to set it, but either she was late or the set was quick. A little too fast.
Jessica Inslee on the serve again. They're going to set up Woodson. Easily handled by the Knights now. Brenna Clyde, lots of power off the ceiling. What a play by Fulton to get to it in time. Hoopin now setting up Jelaine Peterson. And that's going to be a point for Southern Virginia.
Yeah, I'm really liking Gracie Fulton for Randolph. She's making a lot of great saves and digs. She has really great hustle, which is always fun to see out of a libero. Something I'm always trying to work on too as a libero. So it's really fun to see.
A little bit of trickery there by Finnerty in the middle. Madlin, though, able to put it back over. That one rejected by Jelaine Peterson right at the net on the Finnerty try. So Knights extending that lead back to 4 points as we get in the later stages of the first set. As you mentioned, this is a non-conference matchup, but as Justin also said, still important to play your game and go full steam ahead to keep building chemistry and that good rhythm with your teammates. That one sails out of bounds. Point back to the Wildcats. He's Sorensen on the serve into the net, and another unforced error for the Wildcats. We've seen a few of those. A few service errors from them as Nikki Stevenson, a sophomore, coming back in to take this serve for Southern Virginia.
It's been really fun to see Nikki kind of find her place on the court. Starting off in the season, she didn't really have that, and so seeing her develop and find her spot has been really cool, and she's been an asset to the team for sure.
Lots of power on that Brooklyn Madlin try. A good job by Randolph to dig it out. Again, Madlin with it. Good dig by Fulton, but her teammates can't get there in time, and that'll be a point back to Southern Virginia. 21-16 now. Brooklyn Madlin with 2 kills in the early going. Stevenson back to serve again, received by Fulton. Off the wire it goes, a point to the Knights again.
Yeah, set was just outside the antenna there, and so as a hitter you have to really adjust with your approach and find a way to get that over the net, but wasn't quite able to do it that time.
Sorensen sets up Finnerty, easily handled by Sydney Bassett. As Jelaine Peterson goes across the court, Sorensen couldn't quite get to it, and a point to the Knights. It's 23-16, just 2 points away from clinching this first set. Stevenson will stay in the backcourt to serve yet again, but this one goes off the net. And that'll be a service error for Southern Virginia.
We have 2 subs here for Randolph.
Now serving number 3.
Number 3, Madison Daniels, is back to serve.
Madison is a senior from Warrenton, Virginia, out of Liberty High School.
And she gets an ace for Randolph there.
So substitution paying dividends right away. And she'll stay back there to serve yet again. Sydney Bassett this time receives that one. Hoopman's going to set up Brooklyn Madlin for the kill. And it is set point for the Knights.
Yeah, one thing that Brooklyn Madlin is really good at is finding where the holes are in the block, where the open spots are on the court, and she has the control to be able to hit those spots, which is really key as a hitter.
And that one into the net it goes, and the Knights are going to take set number 1 at 25-18. As we'll go ahead and switch sides.
Just kind of a quick review of stats so far. Total attacks, Randolph has 39, the Knights have 40, with hitting percentages of .051 for Randolph and .1 for the Knights. Knights have 1 ace, while Randolph have 0.
And as we're taking this brief break in between sets, Justin, we talked a little bit about what's going on in USA South play right now. After that loss to Greensboro last night, the Knights are currently in 5th place in the conference standings, just behind William Peace in 4th. And as we go down to the end of the regular season here, what's the importance of, seeding in the conference tournament and being able to host matches and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, I believe every match, every game on your record counts towards that. Obviously, they look first at your conference record, but after that, they look at total wins and losses. And so, obviously, the more wins you have, the better win ratio you have, the higher chance you have of hosting. And so, yeah, every game is important. Yeah, like we were saying before, it's an opportunity to work on chemistry, on connecting, and with our setting and hitting, and so yeah, I was talking to some of the ladies before, and they were saying they're kind of shaking off last night's tough loss, and they're ready to move on and find connection today, and they've done that so far for sure in the first set, which is exciting to see.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think it seems like they've been mathematically eliminated from clinching the first seed in conference play, but it'll still be very important, as you said, to gain as much ground and on the 3 teams currently in front of them, and to win out to clinch any possible tiebreakers as well.
Right.
In the final few games of the regular season, as this Saturday they'll enter the last week of regular season play with 2 games at home here against NC Wesleyan and Brevard. And then next week, to close out the regular season, they'll visit Salem and then Methodist to close it out. So certainly want to put together a strong performance in this one,
right,
despite being a non-conference opponent. And so far they've done that. They want to build off this good start to give this some momentum leading into the last week of play.
Absolutely.
So heading back out here for set number 2. A few different Knights leading the team in kills. Jelaine Peterson's got 3, Madison Green with 3, Brenna Clyde with 3, also Brooklyn Madlin with 3. So Knights able to spread the wealth pretty nicely in the early going in that first set.
And on Randolph's side, Woods, Viennes, and Murdoch all have 2 kills leading their team on their end. Yeah, so we'll see if the Knights can keep their momentum here in the second, or if Randolph is able to fight back and find some new energy and another gear in the second set.
Looks like number 18, Jada Dominic's going to be back to serve, the junior setter from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Ruby Blameyer's going to receive that one, and Sarah Hoopin's going to set up Sydney Bassett. Softly over for the Wildcats. On the attack goes number 5, Woodson. Nice dig there by Nikki Stevenson. That's going to turn into a point for Southern Virginia.
Yeah, big swing from Sydney. I love watching her. She's it's very hard to find girls that are more explosive than she is. She's an athlete. She knows how to get up and really hit that ball, and so it's always fun to watch.
Here's Sarah Hoofman now back to serve. And number 7, Tahani Viennes, not able to receive that one.
Yeah, good serve by Sarah, able to find that seam in between, that 5-6 seam.
Hoofman again on the serve. That time they do receive it nicely. Trying to go over the top is Woodson. It's going to deflect out of bounds off of the wall of Southern Virginia. And that'll be the first point of the set for the Wildcats.
We're going to go ahead and sub number 3, Madison Daniels, in to serve.
Now serving number 3.
He was able to get an ace when she first came in last set.
Great pass from Ruby Blameyers.
That one's a little high by Madison Green. But that one's going to float out of bounds. Viennes a little bit too much under it. And coming back in for the Knights will be Brooklyn Madlin in place of Ruby Blameyers. And Sydney Bassett back to serve for the Knights. Good block by Brenna Clyde. And Hoopin's going to set up Brenna here on the near side. And that's going to be too many hits by Randolph, as they couldn't quite get a hold of it. And that'll be a point back to the Knights.
Yeah, so that block that we were talking about in the first set from Randolph, looks like it's not quite holding up as it was in the first set. But you never know, it could come back.
Another block by Brenna Clyde, 2 in a row for her. As that one looked like it almost went off the antenna, but that'll be I think it did actually. And that'll be another point for the Knights. They lead at 5-1 in the early going. So just like set number 1, Knights off to a fast start.
Right. Yeah, what we're seeing here is a lot of, like I said, unforced errors on the side of Randolph. seems like every time it's set to them, they make some error. So what I would want to do if I'm them is just as simple and as easy as it sounds is just keep it in. I know it's easier said than done, but just maybe set it a little higher, slow it down if you need to, and just make sure you're getting them in. Because right now we're hitting the antenna, hitting it into the net, and we can't get anywhere doing that. So you just got to limit those unforced errors if you're Randolph.
Because if you're able to keep it in, then the longer it's in, the more chance for possibly the Knights to make an unforced error of their own.
Right.
And that last unforced error caused a timeout by Randolph, as it's 6-1 in the early going in set number 2. As I think that was the 10th attack error of the night by Randolph.
Yeah, so attacking errors, we have Randolph at 10, Southern Virginia at 5. Kills, Randolph 8, Southern Virginia 14. Yeah, and so those are going to kind of lead us and show us why the Knights are up by so much.
Cindy Bassett on the serve. Good hustle there by number 18. Dominic to help get it back over. Good rejection there by Murdoch. Brooklyn Madden again can't get it over the net that time, and a point to the Wildcats.
Great cover by Sydney Bassett there. One very underrated skill in volleyball is being able to cover the ball. As soon as you see your hitter, someone on your team going up to hit, every other player on the court should be surrounding them, getting low, getting ready to dig any ball that gets blocked. And Sydney was able to do that there, showing a great example of covering.
That attack by Brenna Clyde just outside the line, and just like that, Randolph has cut it to 3. Clyde back again on the attack with the kill, getting it through the tandem of Brooklyn Finnerty and Tahani Viennes. It's now 7-3 in favor of Southern Virginia. Jessica Inslee back to serve for the Knights. That one's going to sail too far out of bounds past the line. Another point for the Knights. So another one of those attacking errors from the Wildcats has them back down by 5. Dominic cannot get there in time. Off the net it goes a couple of times, so another point for Southern Virginia, as they've had a little bit of difficulty this set receiving those serves. As that one's going to sail way past the line, and a service error for Jessica Inslee. The score is now 9-4. A couple of substitutes coming in for the Wildcats. That's number 2, Tatiana Langston. She's a freshman from Carrollton, Virginia, and Sequoia Sorensen, who was in there in the first set, coming back in for the Wildcats. Brent Clyde on the attack. Good dig there by Madison Daniels, then rejected the net by Jelaine Peterson. It's 10-4 now. Nikki Stevenson coming back in for the Knights to take this serve.
Yeah, Knights are doing a really good job at forming just a strong, consistent block. It looks like it's hard for Randolph to get past the block these last few points. And it's also forcing that, having to hit over and try to get over them around, and that leads to hitting errors.
Langston got it over the wall, but sailed way out of bounds. Another point back to Southern Virginia, as Nikki Stevenson can't get it over the net. And a point back to the Wildcats.
Number 5, Mackenzie Woodson, coming in for Madison Daniels.
Nice looking serve there by Tahani Viennes, just in front of the outstretched arm of Jessica Inslee. That'll be a service ace for her.
Yeah, really good short serve. Float serves often drop a lot or have random weird movements, and it's hard to pass, especially when you're able to place it so short like that.
Make that 2 in a row for her as Nikki Stevenson got her hands on it, but it sailed behind her out of bounds. As this time the Knights handle it. Sarah Hoopman setting up Jelaine Peterson. Bit too far for Viennes on that one, and a point back to the Knights. That's Jelaine Peterson with the points. And Justin, it seems like, you know, people think that, oh, it's just a serve, you should be able to handle it, but what makes different serves difficult, and do different players have particular approaches to serving that tend to work out for them, or what's your thoughts on that?
Right. So in women's volleyball, what we see a lot are float serves, and in my opinion, I would rather pass a jump serve than a float serve all day long. Mm-hmm. Float serves are very difficult to read, especially when they're able to serve in the seam, meaning in between the passers. It forces you to have to make a move and create a platform, an angle, I mean, to where the setter should be. And yeah, when a player is able to hit a strong float serve into that deep court, like I said, it's just hard to read. The ball, there's not a specific equation or whatever of how the ball's going to move. It randomly moves, and you have to find a way to get under that ball.
Stevenson receives that one. Now Cindy Bassett, lots of power off the arms of number 23, Viviana Gustin. That'll be another kill for her.
Yep.
Again, lots of athleticism, able to get on top of the ball, lots of power into her swing.
Right.
As Taryn Anderson subbing in to take this serve. Service ace for Anderson.
Really strong serve by Taryn there. Able to find the court. And that'll lead to a timeout for Randolph.
And Taryn's been able to come in quite a few times during games this season and produce those service aces.
Yeah.
As the Knights now lead 15-8. Getting into a pretty nice rhythm, able to force the Wildcats into some unforced errors. And haven't seen a huge presence of that strong, the strong middle blockers of Randolph that we saw in the first set.
Right.
As they seemed like they were getting a hold of a lot of attacks by the Knights in the first set, but not so much in the second.
Yeah, I think we're referring to number 20, Murdoch, for Randolph. She has 7 attempts with 2 kills out of those 7. And it's really hard to get your middle sets, give them opportunities if you can't get good passing. It requires a good first ball contact. And so if you're not able to get that pass to the front of the net, near the net, it's near impossible to set the middle and get them going, which is what Randolph needs, especially with a powerful hitter like Murdoch is.
Good dig there by Taryn Anderson. Good block by Murdoch. Cindy Bassett, lots of power right on the floor in front of number 6, Gracie Fulton. That'll be another kill for Bassett.
Yeah, really well done, being able to hit to the left of Randolph's block.
They're going to set up Murdoch in the middle. Lots of power on that one, getting over top of the blockers on that one.
That's exactly what we want if we're Randolph, is to be able to have that connection with our middles. She's a really good player. And once you're able to establish the middle, the blockers on the other side are going to respect that middle, meaning they're not going to give up on that middle. They're going to wait and make sure they're not getting set and then move, which opens up opportunities on the wings, on the sides, to have single blockers instead of 2 blockers.
We've been setting up Madison Green in the middle. Good anticipation. That's number 11, Kat Michael, who had just subbed in. Wildcats back on the attack. That's Fulton setting up Woodson. Another good block by Madison Green. But then Sarah Hoopin a little too soft and rejected by Murdoch pretty easily to send it back into the Knights side of the court for the point. This is Jada Dominic, the junior setter, back to serve again. Sydney Bassett, lots of power, but a nice block by Brooke Murdoch again. As we had just started talking about her again a couple of minutes ago, and
yep,
it's proving good for her right now.
absolutely.
Blaemeyer's calling for it. Now Sydney Bassett going to send it over. Murdoch gets rejected that time by Madison Green. And Nikki Stevenson off the top of the net. Back and forth we go. Off of Jessica Inslee. It looked like she wanted to let it go out maybe, or let Ruby Blaemeyers get to it. But it bounced off her shoulder and out of bounds.
Yeah, one thing that I try to adapt as a libero, a mindset I try to adapt is if it's even close, just go for it. Better safe than sorry, kind of thing.
Madison Green not able to get too much on that one, and again, Brooke Murdoch is there to send it down in a timeout by Southern Virginia. So in the past couple of minutes, Brooke Murdoch has really come on strong. She had a good start to the game tonight, and went a little bit quiet at the end of the first set and start of the second, but she's come on strong again with quite a few blocks in the last few points to get her team back into it. They trailed just by 3 at 16-13.
Yeah, just going back to stats real quick. Sorry, I really like looking at stats. I think they're key indicators of why teams are losing and winning. Jolene Peterson has the highest hitting percentage here for the Knights with a 6.67, which is really, really good. So if they can find a connection with her for the rest of this set, if I'm Sarah, if I'm the setter, I'm going to go ahead and set her if I have the opportunity. And then, yeah, like we're saying, for Randolph, one of the only positive hitting percentages actually is Murdoch. So it looks like it's a middle game right now. This set is all about the middles. So we'll see who can win out.
Jada Dominic back to serve for the Wildcats. That's Nikki Stevenson to receive it. Hoofman's going to set up Sydney Bassett. Lots of power again, as it goes off of Brooke Murdoch and Kat Michael. And down to the floor, a point for Southern Virginia.
Number 7, Sarah Hoofman, back to serve for the Knights.
Tough receive there from McKinsey Woodson, but the Wildcats do get it back over the nets. Brenna Clyde on the attack.
Good job from Brenna Clyde being able to adjust, get over the net.
Good communication by the Knights. Brenna Clyde again on the attack. Good couple of saves by the Wildcats, and back and forth we go. Sydney Bassett now, she wants to say it deflected off of Murdoch, but the officials rule otherwise, and a point back to the Wildcats.
Yeah, anytime you hit it out, you always have that hope that the block touched it or someone touched it, but wasn't able to get it there.
And Justin, going back to your point of, maybe Sarah Hoopin trying to look for Jelaine Peterson a little bit more. In volleyball, is that, obviously in sports generally, things are big on momentum.
Absolutely.
And is that something that a setter will look for, who's in more of a groove and try and go back to them more often?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing about volleyball is momentum can shift within 1 point. And so if you can get a big hit out of whoever has the higher hitting percentage, if you can get something out of them, you can shift that momentum immediately with a big kill, big block, whatever it may be. And so that's what's kind of really interesting about volleyball is I think in volleyball it's the easiest for momentum to shift compared to other sports because it is point by point.
Good job by Fulton to get it back over.
Great swing by Madison Green there.
Hoofman now going to set up Brooklyn Madeline on the far side. Good dig, but it's going to sail out of bounds as Madison Daniels nicely got to it. But that'll be a point in favor of Southern Virginia.
Yeah, another little shout out. I've loved being able to watch Madison Green find her spot on the court as well. She's really been doing well for the Knights this season at middle, especially as a freshman. And right there, we were able to see that.
So Sydney Bassett back to serve for the Knights. And nicely tapped back over by Brenna Clyde. That'll be another point for the Knights as Fulton got to the serve, but a little bit too strong for her teammates, and the Knights lead by 5, 20-15. They're going to go back to Brooke Murdoch on that one, but the Knights easily handle it. Now Brenna Clyde into the net it goes. Point for the Wildcats. And we talked a little bit before, Justin, about the history of these two teams.
Right.
It's the first matchup they've had together in about 4 years, since the fall of 2019. Knights won that matchup in a 3-set sweep down on Randolph's home court as that one sails out of bounds. But the Knights on a 6-game winning streak against Randolph, so even though they have the lead 1-0 and the lead in the second set, you don't want to lay down because you know Randolph trying to get that monkey off their back and get a win against Southern Virginia.
Exactly. Yeah, you always have that hope or a desire or goal that this is the year we'll get them.
That's number 21, Sequoia Sorensen, coming back in for Randolph. She'll be the one back to serve now. Hooping going to set up Brooklyn Madeline. Lots of speed coming in, lots of power as well. Daniels could not get a hold of that one. And that's another kill for Brooklyn.
Yeah, really good swing from Brooklyn there. One of the more powerful hits I've seen from her.
Stevenson on the serve. Fulton's going to set up Langston. It went over Peterson and Hoofman, and Randolph now back on the attack. Too low of a set there. And Vienna's could not get to it in time. A point for the Knights. They're 2 points away from clinching the second set.
Great pass. Serve receive pass from number 6.
Langston able to get it through the hands of Jelaine Peterson. Falls to the floor, a point for the Wildcats. But yeah, a really nice receive by, I think that was Gracie Fulton again.
Right.
He's had a really solid showing today. That one nicely received by Jessica Inns. They're going to set up Jelaine Peterson right between Fulton and Viennes. A kill for Jelaine Peterson. It is now a set point. The Knights already lead it 1-0. Looking to go up 2 sets here. They lead 24-18.
Brooklyn Madeline with the serve.
It's going to float past Gracie Fulton and out of bounds for a service error. Ruby Blameyer is going to come back in for the Knights. Being subbed out is Brooklyn Madeline. And now Gracie Fulton back to serve for the Wildcats.
Good serve from Gracie Fulton here.
That's either I think the 4th or 5th service ace in the set for Randolph.
Yeah. Now, if I'm Randolph here, I may know that I don't have a good chance of winning the set, but I want to gain momentum going into this 3rd set, and that's exactly what they're doing here with that ace and the previous point.
Jane Peterson whiffs on that one. And now Randolph just trailing by 3 points, and Coach Debbie Baker's going to take a timeout here. And we talked a little bit about the history between these two programs. Of course, Randolph, a member of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference, currently with a 12-12 overall record, but 3-7 in the ODAC. But three of those wins have come in the last 5 meetings against conference opponents for them. So they've been playing some pretty good volleyball of late. They currently sit 10th in their conference standing. So again, a non-conference matchup, but important matchup for both teams to set the tempo for the remainder of the regular season of conference play.
Absolutely. All right, coming out of the timeout, Gracie Fulton is back to serve for Randolph.
Stevenson received that. Hoopman's going to set up Sydney Bassett a bit too high.
No touch called. Point goes to Randolph.
And Randolph just trailing by 2 points now, late in the second set. Fulton again back to serve. That one handled by Blaemeyers. Bassett again. And that's going to be a kill for Sydney. And just like that, the second set of play ends. Knights take it 25-22 and lead 2-0. So Sydney Bassett able to get in a groove there offensively, as I think she had 4 kills in that set to lead the Knights attack.
Taking a quick look at team stats. We have 13 kills from Randolph, while Southern Virginia has 23. 10-point difference there. Attacking errors, Randolph 16, Southern Virginia 13. We'll go ahead and look at service aces, Randolph with 5 and Southern Virginia at 3. With service errors being 3 for Randolph and 7 for Southern Virginia. One thing that we look at on the men's side at least is service errors. We actually have a lot of service errors, and those are just free points that we're giving to the other team. They don't have to do anything. And Randolph has actually been doing a good job at limiting those. They only have 3, while Southern Virginia has 7, which also in 2 sets honestly isn't that much. But so they're doing well on the service end, both teams.
And individually, it looks like that is number 5, Mackenzie Woodson, leading the charge with 5 kills on the night for Randolph. Also, Brooke Murdoch, a name we've mentioned a lot, chipping in with 3 of her own. But again, Randolph able to come on strong late there in the second set. But eventually Sydney Bassett able to end things with a powerful kill of her own. And with the remaining time we have between sets, we want to help the Knights Athletic Department thank the following sponsors for their continued support of Knights Athletics: Cornerstone Bank, Mill Creek Orthodontics, River Crossing Apartments, Straws Drinks and Eats, also Grace Automotive, where SBU students and staff can receive 10% off their vehicle maintenance needs, Papa John's Pizza, locally owned and operated, Vinyl Cuts, The Beeve, and Katana Sushi and Hibachi Express. And if you'd like to partner with Knights Athletics to promote your business to the Knight Nation, please contact Brett Schroeder at 801-633-1894. And another reminder, Straws, they're having a bingo night tomorrow, Friday night, and then the Friday after that will be a movie night. And also on Halloween night is their Spooktacular, where lots of the local shops in the area and on Magnolia Avenue will be handing out candy. So stop by the next couple of Fridays and Halloween nights and there'll be a lot of activities to go with your friends and family to.
Nice. Buena Vista is such a fun little community. It's fun to be a part of as a student. Lots of good, wholesome people. It's fun to be here.
And really good weather right now as well.
Yeah.
Not too cold, not too warm.
Absolutely. Got the fall colors going. All right, here we go. Set 3 is underway. Sarah Hoofman, number 7 from the Knights from Las Vegas, Nevada, is going to be starting it off.
Sarah Hoofman gets things going in the third set. They're going to set up Brooklyn Finnerty right off the bat as she gets a kill to make it 1-0 Wildcats.
Yeah, good kill from number 8, Brooklyn.
She came into today with 188 kills, ranking 2nd on her team, also 80 blocks. So along with Brooke Murdoch, they've combined to be a pretty good force for the Wildcats in the front line, as that attack by Sydney Bassett sails wide of the line. Hoofman going to set up Madison Green. Didn't get all of it. Into the net it goes. And 3-0 out of the gates for Randolph.
Yeah, not the best start for the Knights there. 2 errors and a good kill from Randolph.
Viennas on the serve. Received by Bassett into the ceiling it goes. Deflected by Finnerty on the way over. Now Langston has a crack at it. Dug out by Hoofman, but too far for Brenna Clyde. 4-0 for Randolph. So a completely different start to the third set than we saw in set number 1 and 2, where the Knights were out of the gates pretty quickly.
Yeah, completely different team for Randolph. Good hitting and blocking. It's really fun to see.
Bassett has to put it over a second time softly. Wildcats blocking the attack. Diving for it was Hoofman and Bassett. And Coach Debbie Baker wants a timeout as the Wildcats out to a 5-0 lead early on in the third set. So from that pretty quick start from Randolph, what did you see differently out of them compared to the starts from their second and first sets?
Right. Yeah, kind of like I was saying, their hitting percentage is higher. Not a lot of errors. They had 3 kills out of, what was it, the 3 attempts that they had, and then 2 errors from Southern Virginia. It's always hard to start off a set like that, down. But I think it's a little wake up for the Knights. I think they got through those 2 sets a little too comfortable, and so this is a good little wake up for them, letting them know you can't just cruise through a third set. Randolph's here to fight, and they're going to play, and so we'll see what Southern Virginia does here. My prediction is they're gonna step it up right here, find some fire.
Absolutely, that's another thing that Coach Baker's talked a little bit about throughout the season is finding that consistency, getting to that rhythm, and being able to fight back when you're hit with adversity like they are right now.
Absolutely.
Hoofman going to set up Bassett down the middle. Received nicely by Dominic, that was.
Out of system to Brenna. Good swing.
And it's going to go off the ceiling as well. Langston now into the middle. Brenna Clyde is there. They're going to set up Sydney Bassett, deflecting off Finnerty, and that'll be a point for the Knights, their first of set number 3, getting the crowd back into it.
Yeah, so then Virginia was caught out of system a lot there, but they were able to keep the ball in and place it very well.
Sydney Bassett back to serve, received by Gracie Fulton. Wildcats having a difficult time with it. Now Brooklyn Madeline on the strike. Deflecting off of number 5, Mackenzie Woodson, and out of bounds. And just like that, out of the timeout, 2 consecutive points for Southern Virginia. So Sydney Bassett again back to serve. They're going to go for Finnerty down the middle, but Bassett is there to clean things up. Now Brenna Clyde, lots of power, into the chest of Jada Dominic. And another point for the Knights, 5-3 the score.
Yeah, good hustle on Randolph's side, but just a little too powerful from Brenna Clyde. Very well done.
Again, Sydney Bassett will get things going for this point. Dominic over herself, but Hoofman is nicely there. Now Brooklyn Madeline on the attack, just to the outside of the line. And Randolph able to get one back.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've seen from, not to be like a critic or expert or anything, but one thing I've seen from Brooklyn is those line shots she hits just wide a little bit. And so I think that's something that she can maybe work on to getting that better contact right there. We see her get a kill. She's a great player, great outside.
Good contact that time by Brooklyn Madeline. Getting a point back for the Knights. They trail by just 2. After giving up 5 consecutive points to the Wildcats to start things off, they've gotten themselves back in it. A block by Madeline on Langston. 2 consecutive points for Brooklyn Madeline. And another thing, Justin, I wanted to ask you was, we saw a couple of those points early on. You know, they dragged on and on, lots of back and forth. How difficult is it to, you know, communicate with your teammates of where you're at on the court and things like that as those points drag on?
Yeah, so as those points go on, you kind of, I guess, get lazy with communication sometimes. It's very easy to just assume players know what you want or what you think should happen. Everyone assumes it's someone else's ball, and usually that's not the case. Someone needs to communicate and say, I usually say a name. I say, whether it's Sydney, you go. And that just helps clarify like who's getting it and who's making the move.
Good play at the net by Brenna Clyde. A couple of rejections there. And this time another block by Jelaine Peterson and Brooklyn Madeline. And then just like that, the Knights have taken the last 7 of the last 8 points and have taken the lead. So is Jessica Inslee back to serve for the Knights.
Good
mishandled,
save.
But a good save, as Justin mentioned, by Fulton again. And there's a bit of a miscommunication there. Coach Debbie Baker didn't like that one.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm talking about there, is everyone kind of assumed it's someone else's, right? So it's just important to clarify. Everyone yell, whose is it?
Because pretty much all 5 of them remaining on the court had an opportunity to take it.
Right.
As they received that serve nicely. Brenna Clyde on the kill. Big swing by her, and they retake the lead.
Yeah, just not quite pressing enough on the Randolph side for their block. Nikki Stevenson, number 13, back to serve for the Knights. Knights with a 1-point lead here in the 3rd set.
Fulton receives that one to the left. She's upset with herself as that was number 21, Sorensen, not able to get there in time. And a service ace for Nikki Stevenson. Sorensen's going to put it over herself. Hoofman able to set up Peterson. Another good dig there by Gracie Fulton. Knights back on the attack. Madeline a drive. Into the roof it goes, into the ceiling. That's Jelaine Peterson on the far side. Sorensen able to handle it, but then number 23, Viviana Gustin, just puts it into the net. So a point for Southern Virginia. And a timeout now called by the Wildcats. So big swing in momentum, timeout to timeout. Southern Virginia converting on 10 of the last 12 points to build themselves a 3-point lead. They also lead 2-0 as they're going to try and close this thing out in a 3-set sweep.
Yeah, good. Well done from the Knights. Good on their part for coming back, finding that fire and that consistency that they needed. And so that's always good and comforting to know as a player that my team's capable of that, I'm capable of that. And so good on their part.
But Justin, you also know as good as anyone that obviously things aren't done when it's up 2-0. Even if they do have a lead here in the third set, as you know, volleyball is built off a lot of momentum.
Right. And
things can certainly swing back towards the other team in a hurry. So you want to be on your toes at all times.
Yeah, there have been, I still have nightmares about getting reverse swept. There's been a few games that's happened to us, and gosh, it's not a fun feeling. So we'll see if the Knights are able to avoid that, which I think they will be able to.
Nikki Stevenson remaining back there to serve. Looks like a couple of Knights fans that thought he was going to try and get a wave going. I don't know if that's going to be a service ace for Nikki Stevenson. 11-7 the count. I don't know if the Wildcat fans would jump in on that wave. Maybe we can sweet talk them into it. There's Nikki again back to serve, trying to follow up that service ace. Sorensen's going to feed Brooke Murdoch. Jeez. Lots of power in the middle. She got up high on that one.
Yeah, it was straight down hit from number 20.
Face of stone after that point from Brooke Murdoch.
No reaction.
Now it's number 5, Mackenzie Woodson back to serve over the head of Sydney Bassett. A service error for Randolph, something they've done a good job of avoiding throughout most of tonight, but not that time. And now Brooklyn Madlin will take her shot at it. High up in the air for Sorensen. Gracie Fulton's just going to put it over softly where Hoofman can set up. Sydney Bassett over top of the wall. Nice dig by Madison Daniels.
Oh, that's so frustrating for them. Great dig by number 3. But double called by number 21.
And that'll be a point back to the Knights. They've extended their lead to 5 points coming out of that second timeout. And into the net it goes for Brooklyn Madlin, a service error. As we'll see Ruby Blaemeyers come back in now. This is Brooke Murdoch getting set. Movement on the near side for Sydney Bassett. That's going to be a point for the Wildcats.
Just going back to stats real quick, just to see those top hitters. Murdoch's, out of 12 attempts, is hitting a .333, which is really impressive. And Jillian Peterson is hitting a .400 out of 10 attempts. Good dig from Nikki Stevenson there.
Sydney Bassett tries to again high up off the block from Finnerty. Sorensen's just going to lift it over as Hoofman sets up Peterson. Good dig there by Murdoch, and now it's another crack at it as this point drags on. Now Vianney's lots of power on that one, gets it off the hands of Jelaine Peterson. A point back to the Wildcats. They trail by just 2. There's Brooke Murdoch again.
Really good serve.
And Sydney Bassett into the hands of Finnerty. Bit of a change up there. Maybe Finnerty thought she was coming with more power, but a point back to the Knights. 14-11 it is.
A little libero exchange there. Number 10, Madison Green coming in. And Taryn Anderson back to serve for the Knights.
Taryn had a service ace in the second set. This one's clean. Hoopman's going to set up Sydney Bassett. A bit of miscommunication there, it looked like.
Right.
And now Finnerty. Good dig by Taryn Anderson. Lots of power from Bassett over top of Sorensen and Finnerty. Another kill for Sydney.
Yeah, she really gets up there. It's hard to block.
And Taryn Anderson remains back there to serve. Get things going for this next point. And Sorensen's going to get called there. Another point for the Knights. They lead it 16-11. And a timeout called by Randolph. So Randolph able to come out of the most previous timeout a lot stronger. But then Southern Virginia able to take the last 3 points to rebuild that 5-point lead again.
Right. Yeah, we'll see if the Knights can go ahead and finish off this set and consequently the match here. They've done a really good job, like you've said, of coming back and performing.
And as we're in the late stages of play here in this matchup, who's one player from each team that has stood out to you so far tonight?
Yeah, I don't mean to kind of be a broken record here, but from Randolph, Brooke Murdoch has been a really standout player. She has obviously the best hitting percentage here, but she's had a really good presence at the net with block touches, blocks, and her hitting. And then on Southern Virginia's side, I'm really liking our middles as well. Mainly Jolene Peterson. So if both teams can get the passes necessary to set those players, I think there's going to be an increase in efficiency from both teams.
On the serve, Taryn Anderson's going to send that one over everyone out of bounds for a service error. And we'll see Jessica Inslee, the libero, come back in. Waiting for a signal from the official. And that's Taryn Anderson coming back out. All a couple of minutes for Taryn. Ruby Blaymeyers receives that one. Hoopin's going to set up Sydney Bassett, getting high up there off of Finnerty again. She's had her hands full all night dealing with the attacks from Sydney Bassett.
Yeah, Sydney's doing a really good job at finding those high hands on the block. It's almost impossible to dig a ball that is deflected off the block like that.
So Sarah Hoopin again back to serve. Into the net it goes. A service error. That'll be the 9th on the evening for Southern Virginia. As Randolph still trying to find their way back in this one. Starting to run out of racetrack is Bassett. Lots of power. Not able to get to that is Jada Dominic. Another kill for Sydney. It's 18-13 the lead. We're going to see freshman in for freshman. Brooklyn Madlin back in for the Knights.
Really good serve from Sydney Bassett, but dealt pretty well on the receiving side.
Good dig, but Madlin had to go over the head of Sydney Bassett, and it goes out of bounds eventually. And the lead cut back down to 4. Sydney now has 11 kills on the evening. Brooklyn Madlin second on the team with 7. Now the Wildcats back in the attack. Maybe a little bit of miscommunication, but Brooke Murdoch got to it. Now Madlin, top corner point for Brooklyn Madlin.
Yeah, two spots that are usually wide open are those deep corners, back left and back right. And so Brooklyn has really good skill when it comes to placing the ball, and she's able to find that open corner.
See Jessica Inslee back to serve again. Nice serve. Dominic able to tip it back over, but the Knights back lane tap with Brooklyn Madlin rejected out of bounds. A point to the Knights.
Yeah, Knights kind of dominating here. It's hard for the Randolph to find a spark.
Knights now with their biggest lead of the third set at 6. It's 20-14. Inslee back over the heads of number 23, Vivian Augustin. And that'll be a service error to the Knights. Now Madison Daniels back to serve, the senior from Warrenton, Virginia. She'll serve it into the hands of Brooklyn Madlin. They're going to go far side for Brenna Clyde. Good dig.
Great
by Fulton again. We've said her name a lot with those digs. Back and forth they go. Hoofman going to set up Brenna Clyde again. That one falls through. A point for the Knights.
Yeah, really well done by Brenna to not back down and go ahead and going ahead to swing hard again. When someone digs you like that or you get blocked, it's easy to kind of get discouraged and maybe roll it or not hit as hard. And she went ahead and stayed aggressive, which I love to see.
There's Nikki Stevenson on the serve. They're going to set up Brooke Murdoch. Able to get it over the middles, and another point for her. Lead back down to 5. It's now Mackenzie Woodson. Leads the team in kills with 6. Lots of power from Brooklyn Madeline, but a good dig by Woodson. Knights back on the attack for Jelaine Peterson this time. A bit too far for her, but it almost worked out. Miscommunication as Brooke Murdoch could not get to it in time.
Yeah, I think something that the Knights aren't quite connecting on is that slide from Jelaine. They really like to run it, but it seems like the timing, I don't know if it's the set, if it's Jelaine's timing with her approach, but it's not quite connecting like I think they would want it to. But it was able to work out there.
Murdoch able to get on top of that one, but the Knights stave it off. Madison Daniels tried to dig that one out, but Sydney Bassett with the kill.
A little finesse from Sydney there. Good shot. It's really hard when the hitter's able to disguise their hit and turn it into a roll shot. You think they're going to kind of blast it, and then they just roll it in front of you. Kind of get caught on your heels.
Good block again there by Sydney Bassett. Knights back in the attack. They'll go back to Sydney up high. Lots of power, and it is match point, 24-16.
All right, match point here. Fingers up for the Knights.
And not a soul got a hand to that kill from Sydney Bassett. Brooklyn Madden back to serve. Good serve. Knights now back on the attack. They're going to feed Jelaine Peterson again with that running play that Justin mentioned. Viennes into the net it goes, and the Knights are going to take this one 3-0, winning the third set 25-16. As the Knights continue their winning streak against Randolph College, make that 7 in a row, dating back to the fall of 2016. So coming off of a difficult loss last night against Greensboro in North Carolina, Knights were able to travel back late and get a good performance here to sweep a solid Randolph College Wildcats squad. So Justin, as we turn the page on this one into the last few games of conference play, what are your takeaways from this one, and how can they build upon their victory today into the final few games of conference play?
Yeah, I would be encouraged and comforted if I was the Knights, knowing that we have the grit and drive that we need to be able to perform and finish off a match. Going into these next conference matches, I want to see them. I want to see their defense that they had against William Peace. They had really good defense in that 5-set winner, and if they can combine that defense with their hitting and blocking from today, I think they're going to do really well in these later matches and eventually postseason.
And just like that, the Knights will improve their record to 12-15. Again, this is a non-conference matchup, but still an important victory for the Knights, as they will head into the last week of conference play of the USA South with important matchups against NC Wesleyan and Brevard. And then next week, facing off against Salem, a team that's just behind them in the conference standings, and then Methodist, who is just ahead of them, to close out conference play. We thank you for joining us on this edition of Knights Broadcast, and be sure to give a like, comment, tell us how we can improve, and as always, go Knights, and we wish you all a pleasant evening.
Go Knights.